Due to public health issues arising from the coronavirus situation, the Sussex County Board of Chosen Freeholders will conduct this meeting remotely via a conference call. Callers are invited to listen and will have an opportunity to make comments by calling 973-310-7191. The Lake Apacon Commission Foundation PowerPoint presentation that will be presented this evening is on the website at www.sussex.nnj.us. You can visit the Freeholder page for meetings and agendas to view this presentation. This is the Freeholder meeting of July 22nd, 2020 at 4:30 p.m., regular business via conference call. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Terry, could you please call the roll?
Freeholder Fantasia.
Here.
Freeholder Fasano.
Here.
Freeholder Herzberg.
Here.
Freeholder Director Patello.
Here.
Freeholder Yardley.
Here.
Okay, would you please stand with us for a moment of silence? And please join in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
nation,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We're on number 4, the public statement. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, adequate notice as defined by Section 3D of Chapter 231, PL 1975, has been made by regular mail. Such notice being submitted on June 30th, 2020, from the Administrative Center of the County of Sussex, located at 1 Spring Street, Newton, New Jersey, to the following: the New Jersey Herald, the New Jersey Sunday Herald, the Star Ledger, Wsus Radio, and Wnnj Radio, and is also posted on the bulletin board maintained in the Administrative Center for Public Announcements, and has been submitted to the Sussex County Clerk in compliance with said act. Could I please have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Fantasia, so moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second. Herb Yardley. Second.
Okay, Herb, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Okay. Number 8 is our proclamation, certificates, and presentations. And tonight we have with us Marty Kane and Colleen Lyons from the Lake Apacon Commission Foundation to give us an update on Lake Apacon. So Marty, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for putting us on the agenda for tonight. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate, the support that you've consistently shown toward Lake Apacon in the past year and beyond that. I just wanted to start off by, we're the Lake Apacon Foundation, and we're the nonprofit organization, and I know you're familiar with us because we've seen you each of the last few years. But the other part of the lake is the more governmental part, and if Colleen could just kind of give a very short introduction on what the Lake Apacon Commission is, that would be great.
Sure. The commission is a board of commissioners appointed by municipalities, counties, and states. We meet monthly, and our responsibilities are more geared towards protection and management of the lake and its watershed versus the foundation, which focuses on like environmental, educational, public safety, recreation, etc. They're broad view. They do so much for our lake. So yeah, that's basically what the commission does.
And in a perfect world, really, the Lake Apacon Commission would be the one organization really managing the lake on a day-to-day basis rather than the DEP. And one of the Lake Apacon Foundation's goal is to get them the resources they need to be able to do that. And you're familiar with the commission because the freeholders appoint a commissioner and an alternate to the Lake Apacon Commission. So we try to really work very closely, and indeed, we talk with Colleen and folks at the commission on a day-to-day basis. So what we wanted to really do tonight is just take you through where we are with some of the issues at the lake very quickly, and then take any questions you might have. I know a lot of this you're familiar with because you stay very close in touch with what's going on the lake. But the first thing is really with the weeds, and as you know, when we were supposed to address you the last time, we had a tragedy that day. So I'm going to just turn it over to Colleen to just give you a real quick snapshot on where we are with the weed harvesting.
Sure. So actually today I sent out an update to everyone. Well, I guess I sent it to Greg Pock, who hopefully forwarded it on. But we heard today, last night, that we are going to be receiving our statutory funds, which pay for the weed harvesting on the lake. The DEP runs the weed harvesting operations because it would be very expensive for the commission to employ the harvesting operators and the insurance for the harvesters themselves. So we're looking at possibly for this season contracting harvesting for the lake because until the investigation into what caused the accident is complete, we won't be able to do harvesting on the lake. And POSHA, who is heading up that investigation, has indicated that it will take at least 6 months for that investigation to be resolved. So for this year, we're looking at possibly using our funds to contract someone to do a brief harvesting, starting in August, just to address the really critical areas such as Crescent Cove, which is in Sussex County, Henderson Cove, which is Morris County, and Landing Channel, possibly. So those would be the most critical areas right now.
And I'll add to that is, and I know some of you are familiar with this, we're still looking for better longer-term solutions. And in fact, Mayor Francis from Hopakong has set up with the DEP a revisit of that whole issue of the sterile grass carp, which he is a very big advocate of, and both of our organizations strongly support doing at least a trial at the lake to show what it really can do, especially in areas like in Crescent Cove in the borough of Hopakong. So we have that at 4 o'clock on Monday, so hopefully this will be the start of revisiting an issue where they had turned us down in the past, and we really think that a strong case can be made, especially now when we're seeing so much herbicide used in the lake as the only way to control weeds. And the other issue that you've been somewhat involved with us, assuming we do remove weeds from the lake, is what we do with them. And here again, I'm going to ask Colleen to comment because he's been looking at some very good alternatives as what we may be able to work with some of the municipalities as well as the counties on composting of the weeds.
Sure. So for this year, I think because we would be doing limited harvesting, most of the weeds would be disposed of actually within Morris County. And they've agreed to one rate for any weeds that would come from Morris or Sussex County, and so that's a good option for this year. But long term, we're considering how we can de-water the weeds and where we can do that because the cost of disposal is so high per ton that if we can de-water them, they'll weigh next to nothing. So that's kind of a long-term solution. We've talked to some different companies about kind of like a closed loop composting solution, but that's kind of a long-term look. Hopefully by next year we'll have some kind of a game plan, and then we can just start to build on that year to year so that we can reduce the cost of disposal.
Colleen, where did we used to take the weeds?
So before the commission received the most recent funds from the Lake Hopakong Fund, which generates funds from the goat licensing fees. So before that, DEP was doing the weed harvesting themselves, and they were allowing for the weeds to be disposed of on state park property. They're no longer allowing that. So disposal was much less at that point. And then Morris County allows up to 800 cubic yards at $3 per cubic yard disposal. In Sussex County, it's a bit higher at Sussex County MUA. It's $96 a ton. So if we can reduce the amount of water weight, we could really bring down the cost of disposal at Sussex County. So that's our goal for the long-term look.
Okay, and the next issue we just wanted to cover quickly was, as you know, last summer we had not only just at Lake Hopakong, but just about every major lake in New Jersey as well as the Northeast. We had real problems with the harmful algal blooms. And while this year is certainly better, they haven't disappeared. In fact, we were just reading articles about how Maine is confronting algal blooms. Colorado is now confronting them, as well as lakes in northern England. So it just shows you, something that we never used to worry about now is become a major issue. Fortunately, we formed a lakes committee with Greenwood Lake and Deal Lake and some others, and we put forward some recommendations. And in this case, DEP actually did go along with changing what the criteria was and they broke it into tiers so that, you get kind of watches and before warnings and before you go into an advisory. Because as you recall last year, to the general public, Lake Opakung was closed were the words that were used, even though that was never the case. And it did a tremendous amount of damage to our local businesses. Really people didn't know what to do. So the new system is certainly working much better. Where certainly the readings are a little borderline at times, but this year, because we haven't had as much rain, the lake is doing better. And there's a lot of demonstration projects that are underway right now. The Lake Opakung Commission received $500,000, and the Borough of Opakung received a separate $146,000. The Borough of Opakung has already started on their project, they're working in Crescent Cove in an aeration project, which is ongoing right now. And Colleen, if you want to kind of just give an update on where you are with your $500,000 worth of projects, which is actually a lot more because, as you know, both Sussex County and Morris County helped us with some matching funds on that, as well as all the 4 municipalities with the donation of in-kind services. And that was crucial because the state money didn't show up yet, and Colleen's going to update you on that, but it allowed us to get all these projects going. So, Colleen, why don't you take that one over?
Yes, thank you so much for your monetary contribution to this grant. We honestly would not have been able to get these projects underway without that money because, as Marty mentioned, the advance payment on DEP didn't come until literally today. So I just called the bank and it's finally in our account so we can continue our projects. But until that funding was received, we used our matching funds to get some of the more time-sensitive projects underway. So that included, we started a rain garden program with Rutgers University. We had a really good showing of people for that, which was all done online. So we had 100 registrants and I think between 60 and 70 participants in that. Right now they're doing the design sessions. Again, they're doing them all online through Zoom. And those are going well. Hopefully we'll get a few of these installed this year. Then we also did the largest phosphate treatment in the Northeast on Lake Opakung. It was 50 acres in Landing Channel. And that phosphate, it strips nutrients, including phosphorus, out of the water column, and it binds with phosphorus in the lake sediment. So we've already seen some positive results there. Princeton Hydro did pre- and post-treatment monitoring. We're already seeing reductions in phosphorus at the locations where that was treated. And then we're doing biochar installations all around the lake, including in Opakung Borough. The biochar is like a woody material. It's basically like a charcoal, and it holds nutrients within the woody material, and it doesn't release them back out into the environment. So these this material is put into a biochar sock, and then it can be installed in the lake, in the inlets to the lake, or in some of the stormwater management devices that we already have existing around the lake. So those are still being installed now, but those are the 3 projects that we've been able to start thanks to those the monetary match that was provided by the counties and the foundation and discussion somewhat too. So we are looking forward to some aeration projects throughout the lake. We have an application of something called Green Clean, which may be effective against existing harmful algal blooms. Marty, am I forgetting? I feel like I'm forgetting a project or 2 here, but we have a few more coming down the pipeline before the end of the season.
Yeah, no, that's great. And what's really nice is years ago a really major system was put in behind Packung Hills Beach at the end of Crescent Cove, and the biochar treatment is all being put in as replacement in there, which is just a tremendous, kind of reinvigorating that whole project in a part of the lake where it's really needed. So it's really good. And I mean, the HABS projects are really been a huge successful start to them, and I think we're going to see some great results. And the second round of grants from the state should be announced any day, and I have to say we hope to compete very well in that area too. So, it's good, especially in these difficult times, to see money coming toward Lake Apacong from basically federally funded sources. So that it's excellent. Just wrapping up, I mean, the other initiatives that, we with the foundation are involved in are safety. We work with the sheriff's offices on various projects on our staffing on the lake. The education took a real step backwards this year because our floating classroom, unfortunately, that was never able to sail. We had 1,500 students booked largely from Morris and Sussex counties. So that program is on hold. We did some virtual classroom work. Our community enhancement projects similarly have been challenged. Both the block party and the lake loop, they're still on the schedule, but they could easily become virtual events at this point because of the challenges we're facing. The Lake Apacong Trail, we're still continuing our work on. The native plants have been going very well. If you're around the Apacong Roxbury border, please stop in at our offices. You can take a look at that, and we're trying to encourage a lot of folks in that way because it's a very easy way. A lot of people always ask us, what can I as a homeowner do? And certainly the rain gardens or riparian buffers are just really easy things to do. And a lot of times they love it because of what the wildlife it brings that they get to watch also. And some of the historic preservation initiatives. And most of all, we try to be a voice for the lake, bringing it together. And one of our big initiatives is to try to bring together all the public lakes into New Jersey into one voice, to try to get some of the money to the lakes, where it's, historically gone much more to the shore. So thank you for listening. We're happy to take any questions today that you might have.
No one has questions. I just want to say, Marty, this is the first time that I remember so much attention going to the lake, and I know it took that algae bloom last year and the closure of the lake to bring the attention back where it needed to be. But I want to thank you, the Lake Commission, and all the people that for so many years, and I'm talking about 40 years that I remember, fighting for this lake. And finally, I mean, with all the different initiatives, I spoke to Mayor Michael Francis today about his nanotechnology, and he's so excited about all of this, and he's ready to turn that switch any moment. So we're expecting to see really improvements begin in the worst areas of the lake, and hopefully then it'll just move forward to all the other areas as well. So again, I just want to thank all of you for all that you've done and the dedication and commitment for so many years, just fighting and fighting and fighting. But finally, we're seeing some results. So that's great.
Thank you, Freeholder. And there's been a lot of collaboration. I mean, we really can't thank you, as Colleen said, enough for your support with the HABs. But between the two counties and the 4 municipalities, the 4 mayors have been really, really working well together. So there's a lot of the Lake Apacong Foundation and Commission, I think, have found very good partnership together in their roles. So hopefully we can do a lot of good for the lake and leave the rest of the world's politics behind us and just work for the lake, and that's really our goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Marty and Colleen, if I may, this is Anthony. I just wanted to echo Sylvia's statements in terms of the work you're doing, but also wanted to say, I live in Crescent Cove. I watch the work that you guys are doing from my dock every day, putting out those lines on the surface of the water, and what you're doing here is pretty impressive. I've lived on this lake my whole life. This is what drew my family to move here, was this lake. It's extremely important to me personally, and it does make me feel better every day to know that you guys are working on this lake as hard as you guys are. And I really appreciate you guys coming to this meeting tonight to give us an update, but also all the work that you've done throughout this pandemic and certainly the loss of one of your members as well. I know all of that is hard, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Are there any other freeholders that would like to speak? Okay, then thank you so much, Marty and Colleen. Again,
thank you again for your time, and thank you again for your tremendous support. We can't really. It means so much to us to allow us to do what we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Have a great evening.
You also.
Bye-bye now.
Bye. Okay, we're on to number 7, public hearings. We do not have any this evening, so we'll go to public session from the floor. This is our first public session, and it is on agenda items only. If you would like to speak on something other than the agenda, you'll have to wait till our second public session, which is at the end of the meeting. So for this public session is for questions and comments pertaining to agenda items only. Before we open this session, we ask callers who want to make a comment to first state your name and municipality. Then the clerk will create a roster and call each in the order received. And comments are limited to 3 minutes or less. So if anyone on the line, any of the public on the line would like to speak on the agenda, could you please right now just say your name and your municipality, one at a time.
Sandra Diglio, Town of Newton.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat your name? I think you spoke too close to the mic.
Sandy Diglio, Town of Newton.
Sandy. Mayor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on the agenda? Okay, could I please have a motion to open the floor to the public from the freeholders?
Fantasia, so moved.
Thank you. Second? I have a second.
Yardley, so moved. Yardley, so moved.
Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, public session is now open, and Terry, would you call the list?
Mayor Diglio, you can proceed, please.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And as you know, I am the mayor of the Town of Newton, and I'm aware of the conversations that have been taking place concerning the Newton Green. And on behalf of the council and the town manager, I would like to have conversations with the freeholders concerning the green, as well as the dispatch, whenever we can make those arrangements. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor, and we definitely will be in touch. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, not hearing from anyone. Can I have a motion to close the floor for public comments?
Fantasia,
Yardley,
so moved.
motion. Yardley, second.
Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Okay, now we're on to freeholder comments, and I'll begin with freeholder Anthony Fasano.
Thank you, Sylvia. This past Monday, I had the pleasure of joining Sussex Tech for both of their outdoor graduation ceremonies. It was an honor to have been invited as their keynote speaker and to join the graduating seniors and their families on their special day of celebration as well. It was an important day in a heat wave during a global pandemic nonetheless that took significant coordination with the handing out of masks, hand sanitizer stations, socially distanced seating, the whole nine. But it reflected the importance of recognizing the accomplishments of our students, and just as importantly, it reflected the importance of recognizing the hope and potential in their futures. So congratulations to all of our graduating seniors and their families in Sussex County, as we are so proud of you and can't wait to see what you all accomplish next. Sussex County continues to see sustained success in our COVID-19 efforts. I think that graduation ceremony was a good indicator as to why. Our residents are taking this seriously, as are our municipalities, as well as our county government, as the health and safety of our residents will continue to be the main priority. However, it is no secret that Sussex County continues to lag in the support it is receiving from our state and federal leaders for a virus that ultimately sees no county border. From a funding standpoint, our county with 140,000 residents doesn't have much to show in direct federal aid and has heard no final answer on if Sussex County will receive any of the $250 million that New Jersey has dedicated to the local government relief fund. From an economic standpoint, it is not much better. Our data shows massive shifts in business openings, employment status, and income, and I still very much fear what we don't yet know. We'll continue to seek out ways we can help our local businesses from a county perspective, many of whom still need support, assistance, and most importantly, a plan. Sussex County has still heard nothing back regarding the plans that we sent to the governor with Warren and Hunterdon County in an effort to resume sectors of our economy in a safe manner compliant with state regulations. Even from a health perspective, though, there are concerns about the current state of affairs. From domestic incidents to drug abuse and mental health concerns, there are issues that are not only persisting, but concerningly increasing throughout the state. There is a resolution on our agenda tonight in support of the Legislative Review and Recovery Committee's efforts, something that our own Senator Oroho has been very involved in, and I thank him greatly for it. The idea behind this bipartisan effort in Trenton is to identify government and social problems this pandemic has exposed or made worse, and how to address them and immediately prevent them from reoccurring. I don't believe that to be very radical. There was a meeting of the minds just a few weeks ago in Trenton to discuss simply if we should continue to be called freeholders. There can at least, and should be at least, a similar effort when it comes to the impact of this pandemic in our state and what we can learn from it. This pandemic is a massive, unprecedented disruption to life, and I think it is more than okay to identify issues and be willing to consider new ideas aimed at making life easier for literally every New Jerseyan, while still ensuring the safety, and I hope that that happens. Finally, there is significant county business still taking place here, and I know that's easy to lose sight of. But keeping up with our infrastructure, our education, our health and human services, our senior services, our social services, public safety, mosquito control, you name it, it is crucial that Sussex County provides the very best of services to our residents, especially now. Item 10C on our agenda today is just a small example of that. In this case, it's for our veterans, as our staff has worked hard at continuing an agreement with the New Jersey Department of Military and Veteran Affairs to provide transportation services to our veterans in conjunction with Skylands Ride to veteran hospitals and clinics in East Orange, Lyons, Newton, Newark, Port Jervis, and Castle Point, New York. Although we're proud to extend this service, we're just as proud to say that this service has not stopped throughout the pandemic. So thanks to our staff for all that they do, and thanks to all of you for your time today, as that concludes my report. Thank you, Sylvia.
Oh, very nice.
Thank you very much. Next, could I please have Freeholder Josh Herzberg?
Thank you, Sylvia. I'm going to touch on something that Anthony also spoke about, and that is some of the calls to investigate not only what went on and the shortfalls during the pandemic, but more specifically to the nursing homes. Something that we've been told by just about anyone we ask, statewide attorneys, that we don't have the authority, we don't have the ability, it's not our purview. Something that was near and dear to my heart because we saw it right in our backyard. So many people died, and, you know, from our perspective, they didn't need to. That bad policy created a travesty. And I don't understand why so many things, just like Anthony had spoke about, we're going to talk about what a freeholder should be called, but we're not going to have an investigation to find out why hundreds of thousands of people died unnecessarily. We should be ashamed that this is how our state government is operating. So I want to call on all of us to support Senator Oroho in calling for Senate President Sweeney to get this investigation started and get this committee to do their work, because, you know, although I don't think it's going to happen, if there was to be a resurgence, what's to say that this doesn't happen again? We don't even know what happened. So, you know, I want to thank the senator and his colleagues for fighting to get this done and find out what really happened. So thank you, and I want to continue to support those efforts. I really don't want to address this right now because I think there's a lot of county business that's more important, but I also don't want to go without addressing my statement, I guess my run for Sparta Council, which would cause me to step down at the end of the year if that's what happens. It was a tough decision. It was a very tough decision for many reasons, but most of all, because of how honored I was that the residents of Sussex County chose me to be their voice. And second of all was my colleagues who I am honored to work with and I have so much respect for. I have so much respect for the work that we are doing, and it's one of the reasons that I feel comfortable doing what I'm doing is because I know that we have good people in the right place, and I'm also confident that the time that I spent was on things that are impactful and long-lasting in the county. And, I'll address some of this later on in the year, but I just didn't want to go through this meeting without addressing it and thanking everyone for their support. I was just blown away by all the support I received from everyone because it was a hard decision, and I do feel bad that I'm not fulfilling my 3-year commitment, but I just didn't have that choice. I feel like my time is better served at home because of some of the things going on, but I was extremely honored to be working with all of you, and you have my commitment that you will get everything I have for the continuation of my time here. So that's all I have, Sylvia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Freeholder Herb Yardley, please.
Well, thank you, Sylvia. I have a couple things to say. I'll start out by just saying hopefully everyone is enjoying their summer, and with COVID-19, we have a whole lot of people working on their houses and doing things in the yard, and I just would like to say, please be safe, because accidents can happen. So some of you may not know, but most of you do, is that I broke my foot by falling off a ladder while working, doing some work in the backyard. And safety is so important, and something for people to remember is that as you're out there working and doing things, sometimes we become so comfortable with things. You make one mistake, and so you can have something happen. And so I'm just reminding everyone, please be safe. I'd like to talk a little bit about a resolution on our consent agenda. It's the Child Health Services grant. That's a program that many people don't know the county has. It's a program to protect children with various disabilities all the way up to the age 21 from I think it's the age 6. I'm hoping that at some point the Freeholder board could ask for a presentation, maybe Carol or the person that runs this, to give us all a good overview of that. And by us doing that, more people will hear about that service. It's one of the programs we have, and I don't think we talk about it as much. I also would like to read something from the New Jersey Advanced Media for NewJersey.com. I'm going to not read this whole article, but I'd like to read a couple paragraphs of various things that are said in it by Ted Sherman and Susan K. Livo, L-I-V-I-O, New Jersey Advanced Media. And this was an article that appeared about from the Assembly, maybe it's about the Assembly about a week ago. And it's called "They Vow to Act as Nursing Home Death Sword. Instead, New Jersey legislature are ignoring the shocking nightmare." I'm going to just read what's said in this thing. Yet another vowing immediate action in the wake of that investigation. The state legislature has yet to take any action, and members of the state Senate are engaged in a backstage political fight that has derailed any hint of progress. Okay. Republican Senate Joseph Canaccio of Morris County, in exasperation, accused the Democrat leadership of failure to take a single meaningful step, suggesting that even now politics trumps all in Trenton, even when lives are at stake. I hope it's not politics. This is screaming for oversight right now. How do we allow 7,000 lost souls to die without answering why? What did happen? Canaccio asked. Now, this shocking nightmare is being compounded by apathy. Another paragraph. While some may argue the delays are no more than legislators taking deliberate approach to save lives, Others say it shows the worst side of Trenton politics, with schoolyard alliances taking precedent over life and death issues. We find it a bit disturbing that we all have situations where politicos are driving policy, making decisions without any transparency of what they're really looking to do, said Millie Sylvia, Executive Vice President of 1199 SEIU, United Healthcare Workers East, which represents 8,000 nursing home workers in New Jersey. The measure sailed through the Senate. It was debated in the Assembly where furious lobbying by both nursing home industry and the union representing nursing home workers waged war. Then it died without explanation, never having been posted for final vote on the floor of the lower house. Assemblywoman Angela Jimenez, one of the sponsors of the staffing bill, says she still does not know why it was pulled for consideration. And finally, the final paragraph I'll read here. The political potent New Jersey Hospital Association and the Healthcare Association of New Jersey, the trade association representing long-term care facilities, pushed back hard on the proposal, which they claim would have cost New Jersey nursing homes tens of millions of dollars. The long-term care industry, 74% of which is owned by for-profit companies, is a consistent contributor to lawmakers' campaigns. This is why I believe that it is important that we support the Legislative Review and Recovery Committee, and that we support that bill, and that we see that this goes to all of the counties around the state of New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Freeholder Deputy Director Dawn Fantasia, please.
Thank you. I want to address how action or inaction at the state level is directly impacting us. Since March, Democrat lawmakers and Governor Phil Murphy have bypassed the voters and operated with minimal transparency. In some of those ways, one rushed through a bill to borrow $10 billion. That was met with resistance from the right and select members on the left. The bill was made public and signed into law in about a week. Mind you, the state constitution outlines that borrowing more than 1% of the annual budget must be put to the voters. So this amount is about the equivalent of 25% of the annual budget. Change the state's open public records law. When someone submits an OPRA to give the records custodians weeks, sometimes even months to respond to supply the public with information. Declined to release most details about this coronavirus task force that was established with Executive Order 102 and the pair of panels that are advising the governor right now on reopening and recovery. And then declined to release documents supporting Phil Murphy's claim that the deal with the NJEA for the health care would save taxpayers $100 million. So back on March 2nd, the governor signed the very first executive order which established a coronavirus task force. Flash forward to July 20th. Governor Murphy signs Executive Order 169, and that is regarding, let me see here. That's regarding party committee reorganization meetings for municipal party committees due to the moving of the elections. So, I mean, if we're taking that number, 60 plus executive orders are signed. The problem is there's limited to no legislative review in this process. So for this $10 billion borrowing, 4 individuals are deciding to borrow $10 billion. Our District 24 representatives have been extraordinarily vocal in opposition to this. And even Senator Nia Gill, who is a Democrat, went on a tirade, and I highly suggest that you find her video because it is posted and it's public, pointing out the very obvious lack of transparency in this maneuver. Reopening and recovery details are not released, so there's a bill now pending to limit executive orders to 14 days without legislative approval beyond that, but this legislation is stalled. Next, Governor Murphy closed wildlife management areas after furloughing 21 Division of Fish and Wildlife employees. And that makes no sense because the employees that are being furloughed are being paid from the New Jersey Hunters and Anglers Fund, not from the regular state funds. So that money comes from New Jersey sportsmen and sportswomen who pay the Hunters and Anglers Fund through licenses and other fees, and through the Pittman-Robertson Act funds through the federal excise tax on sporting arms and ammunition. But now they're somehow furloughed, so that money can also go and be spent God knows how. And then that takes us to the main point. Where is the investigation on the long-term care facilities? If we anticipate a second wave, what is the plan? How are we better prepared? What's been learned? I'm not at all confident the State Department of Health is in a position to protect the fragile residents, and I will be damned if this mixing of positive and negative residents is going to happen again against CDC guidelines in our county and in facilities within our county lines. Those people died needlessly and alone. Why the state did not take advantage of field hospitals or the ship-to-house patient overflow? These went unused in favor of utilizing nursing homes as a petri dish. It's a morbid experiment that cost thousands their lives. And if this governor is guided by science, why did science not matter then? That decision was in direct and complete conflict with scientific health-based guidelines. Science didn't matter then. This devolved very quickly. And I understand that a pandemic doesn't come with an instruction manual, and we're all human. But the way through this is not a one-man show. The governor is not listening to the people. He's not listening to those we elected to be in the state legislature. When you're elected, it's your duty to listen. Never will you hear this governing body, this board of freeholders, tell you your opinion makes not one iota of difference. You have the right and you earn the respect to be heard. I don't know what kind of arrogant posturing is going on there right now. You know, and it would be laughable if so many didn't die. We write letter after letter. We make phone calls. Our state legislators speak directly in Trenton and make impassioned pleas on the state house floor, and it falls on deaf ears. What's it going to take? So to me, I say don't forget this. If you lost a loved one, don't forget. If you're unable to support your family because of arbitrary nonsense closures and EOs, don't forget. This can't stand. The priorities are wrong. There's a discussion about the term freeholder, the outdated term freeholder. Okay, that's critical at this moment to address this. Why wasn't it critical last year or 5 years ago? Sussex County has 2 women leading this board for the first time in history. And I can't speak for Sylvia, but I sure am not a freeholder under the archaic definition. I don't own property free and clear. I have a mortgage on my house. Is this what keeps me up at night? No. Absolutely unnecessary nursing home deaths are what keeps me up at night. The disproportionate rate of COVID deaths in the Black community is what keeps me up at night, which is why we need the Legislative Review and Recovery Committee. And that's what we have on the agenda, and that's what Freeholder Yardley was referring to, and Freeholder Fasano. And this is where the first line of this is very, very important, whereas the County of Sussex has to date been severely impacted by the COVID-19 virus, with 195 residents who have lost their lives thus far, including 82 residents and 2 staff members of Andover subacute. And a total of 114 of the 195 that have died in Sussex County are connected to long-term care facilities in this county. Sussex County is home to this atrocity in this state. So this committee that is proposed is to examine the COVID-19 deaths in the state's long-term care facilities and prisons, the breakdown of the state's unemployment system, disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on minorities, the impending fiscal hurdles that the state and local government will face as a result of this unprecedented crisis. And last, we also have something on the agenda, another resolution that talks about needing the reinstatement of the homestead rebate and funding of the senior tax freeze. We have a fragile population, and decisions like this will have a devastating effect on our seniors. I am seeing a troubling trend from what happened in our nursing homes now to the senior freeze. What, when you hit retirement age, you no longer matter? I can't wrap my mind around this. This is absolutely disgusting. Again, I don't know what it's going to take, but I can promise you that this board is not going to lay down, and District 24 is not going to lay down when we see the harm that's happening to our people. This is just outrageous. there's a couple updates that I would like to give you pertinent to the county. First, the Sussex library system. As we've announced before, the library system is open by appointment starting Monday, July 20th. Per the governor's executive order, buildings are limited to 25% capacity, and you have to schedule an appointment. And you can schedule yourself online, or you can call your local branch. As if they're scheduled in 45-minute increments between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Saturday. And there is a specific time between 10 and 11 a.m. It's reserved for seniors and for those with compromised immune systems. As far as the county college, a meeting was held between the liaisons, which myself and Freeholder Fasano, College President John Connolly, Trustee President Bill Curcio, and members of the county search committee. Dr. Connolly has prepared a description of what the college expects of trustee candidates, and it's anticipated an advertisement for trustee applications will be crafted in the next week or so, anticipating the search committee will convene in September to review applicants. We would like to have all of those seats filled by November. A couple health department updates as far as public bathing facilities. There are currently 89 public lake beaches and 43 public pools that are open in the county, and these facilities have been approved by environmental health. Day youth camps were permitted to open on July 6, 2020. Pools are also permitted to open inside those youth camps, and there's 8 youth camps open in the county. All of them have been inspected. They're approved by environmental health. There's been 43 seasonal food vendor permits issued. And the last county update I'm going to touch on is mosquito control. The Office of Mosquito Control is fully staffed and operating. For 2020, the inspectors are responding to public complaints by inspecting suspected surrounding habitats for any kind of mosquito activity. And the office is developing a website that's going to provide information gathered through the surveillance program, including the number of tests, the mosquito samples tested positive for disease. The site's going to provide answers to frequently asked questions. I did speak with Carol Navarrete regarding this, about brainstorming for what might be appropriate to be on that website and things that the public might want to know. This also will include a link to Rutgers University Center for Vector Biology for more information regarding mosquito-borne disease. So again, mosquitoes are very, very active right now. Please dump any open water on your property. I know it doesn't seem to be in the forefront, but all of these other things, health hazards, mosquitoes, ticks, they don't go away because of the coronavirus. They're still here and in full force. Oh, I got a note too. National Youth Sports Week, by the way, is this week, July 20th to the 24th. I'm going to share a little bit more about what that looks like at our next meeting, but just so you know, this is the week that we celebrate that. Sports provide families with fun, help children become well-rounded individuals, and I think it's really important, especially coming out of the more restrictive lockdown measures, that kids are now back into these activities and they're outdoors and they're moving more. I think it's very important not only for their physical health, but also for their mental health. And last, I'd just like to thank everybody in the county for how hard that they continue to work. Again, I'll say it, this does not come with an instruction manual, but I am so proud of the work that all of our departments are putting in and the responsiveness. And I know we'll continue to be responsive regardless of what comes at us. And just want everybody to know that this board has one thing in mind, and that's protecting the residents of the county and giving you the best services we possibly can, even in the midst of what sometimes appears to be chaos. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dawn. I would like to start with a report on COVID-19. During the month of July, the number of new COVID-19 cases in Sussex County continues to remain low, with 1 death occurring in July. There was another death listed in July. However, the death occurred on June 10th and was confirmed as COVID-19 related in July. The county has been investigating new COVID-19 cases within the Sussex County community. And to prevent the spread of COVID-19, the county has implemented a robust contact tracing system. The staff investigating and contact tracing are well trained. Once a person is identified as positive for COVID-19, the team contacts all of the people who may have been exposed and works with them to interrupt the transmission of the disease. Persons who have tested positive for COVID-19 are asked to isolate, and contacts are asked to quarantine at home. With public health nursing, for the clinics that will be held at Wheatsworth campus in August 2020, we have August 11th from 2 to 4 p.m. is the Health Check Clinic. Information on school nurse guidance on return to schools. Public health nursing joined a conference call with the county's school nurses yesterday and will be hosting ongoing calls to assist the nurses in preparing for students' return to school. Public health nursing will provide public health guidance for the school nurses and signage and pamphlets for schools to provide to parents. Our overdose fatality review team, the OFT resumed their monthly meetings last Wednesday, July 15th, using HIPAA complaint Zoom Pro. Sussex County is the first county in New Jersey to host an OFT team case review meeting via video conference. The meeting went extremely well, and feedback from the participants was very favorable. Morris County Sheriff James Gannon attended the meeting, and Sheriff Gannon was impressed with the meeting and plans to use Sussex County as a model to conduct their meetings in this manner. I would just like to compliment everyone involved in that. It was a lot of work to pull this together, and having one of these meetings is extremely time-consuming, a lot of investigation and time into each person actually that they're discussing at the meetings. And I want to thank them because, as always, the people that work for us, our staff, are excellent, they're committed, and they're professionals, and they always do an excellent job, and they've done a great job in starting that, continuing it, and working through it. The next one is the Opioid Awareness Symposium. Community and Youth Services will be hosting a virtual Opioid Awareness Symposium in conjunction with International Opioid Awareness Day, which occurs annually on the 31st of August. The event is in the planning stages, and more information regarding the program, the content, date, and time will be shared shortly. For our Mental Health Board, Community and Youth Services, in collaboration with the county's Mental Health Board, will be virtually hosting 2 community events. The first event will focus on mental health services available to Sussex County residents, and later this year they will host a mental health symposium. More information regarding the 2 events will be available during August. From the Sussex County Chamber of Commerce, after much consideration and a careful review of the current CDC guidelines, the Sussex County Chamber of Commerce Board of Trustees has decided not to hold its Sussex County Day event that was scheduled for September 20th. However, the Chamber promises to make Sussex County Day 2021 extra special for the community. Lastly, I'd like to speak on the CLEAR and the 4th anniversary. It's amazing that 4 years have passed by so quick, and what they have accomplished for our community is really incredible. CLEAR serves as a foundation for all of the other grant funding and programs that we have for substance abuse and recovery. Operation Helping Hands was one of their grants. It was active in 2020 from January to March. CLEAR coaches and police officers conducted 25 municipal court and 3 outreach events, making contact with 159 individuals, family, community members, and 7 individuals accepted services. The STAR grant gives people a free coach and a free case manager for a year. The ORP grant, which coaches go to the emergency room, served 149 patients in 2020 from January 1st to May 9th, with 23% connected to treatment and 65% connected to recovery support. I just want to give you a few more numbers on the ORP. Recovery coaches responded to 647 calls, 474 accepted services, and 146 were linked directly to treatment. You can see the difference that these programs are making. CLEAR funding also assisted those in need with transportation, phones, and phone minutes to ensure people could do telehealth counseling during COVID. I would like to mention Becky Carlson, the director of the Center for Prevention, who never wants to be recognized for her work. But her work and commitment for the past 20 years lay the groundwork for a program like CLEAR to be developed and organized in our county. Police Chief Richards, who just retired from the Newton Police Department, still chairs CLEAR with Becky. And it's interesting to note that the chief was the one who named the recovery program CLEAR. CLEAR is successful because of the incredible collaborations between police officers, the prosecutor's office, the County of Sussex, Newton Hospital, municipalities, businesses, recovery coaches, counselors, family members, and so many more. And on the 4th anniversary of CLEAR, I would just like to express the gratefulness of our community to all of the people that serve and are committed and are dedicated to working against the drug addiction and the substance abuse in the town and in the communities. I also want to mention that CLEAR has a hotline that is manned 24/7, allowing individuals and family members to call anytime for assistance. And that number is 1-844-5327. So thank you very much. I'd like to get back to our meeting. In number 10, we're on approval of consent agenda from A to D. The Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Sussex has reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions and determined that adoption of the said resolutions is in and will further the public interest. If any freeholder would like to remove an item to be considered separately, please do so now. Is there anyone that would like to remove an item?
Yes, Sylvia. I'd like to remove item to be read, item 13E.
Okay, that's the second resolution. Herb, I'm on number 10. This is the consent agenda.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
What you're referring to is 13, and I will stop to have that read. So thank you for
thank you. Okay.
Thank you. So could I have where am I? Okay, I have to have a consent agenda resolution from AD. I'm sorry, Terry, could you please, roll call, please?
I'm sorry. First, we need a motion for the...
Oh, the motion. That's where I am. I lost place. I'm sorry. Can I have a motion to move approval of consent agenda A through D? I'm sorry.
Fantasia, so moved.
Thank you. A second?
Yardley, second.
Okay. Now, Terry, would you please call the roll call?
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Fasano?
Yes.
Freeholder Herzberg?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Patello?
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley?
Yes.
Okay. Approval of minutes for the regular meeting. Could I have a motion, please?
Fantasia, so moved.
Second?
Yardley, second.
Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? No. Okay. 12, the appointments and or resignations. We have none this evening. Now, 13 are the resolutions. And Herb, this is what you were speaking about. Would you please, let me approve it first. Can I have a motion first to move the resolutions from A to E?
Fantasia, so moved.
And a second, please.
Second, Herzberg.
Okay. Now I'd like to ask Freeholder Herb Yardley if you would read Resolution E in support of the Legislative Review and Recovery Committee that was mentioned by the Freeholders this evening during their comment period.
Thank you, Sylvia. In support of the Legislative Review and Recovery Committee to identify governmental and social problems caused, exposed, or made worse by the COVID-19 pandemic, and to make recommendations to address immediate problems, prevent them from reoccurring, and to develop long-range improvements. Whereas coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, is a contagious and at times fatal respiratory disease caused by SARS-CoV-2 virus, and whereas the spread of COVID-19 within the state of New Jersey and the County of Sussex constitutes an immediate public health emergency that threatens and presently endangers the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of the municipalities and the counties of the state. And whereas the governor of the state of New Jersey has reached to the public health emergency. And you still hear me? Okay. Hello?
Yes, I can
Yes.
still hear you.
Okay.
If anyone let me just say, if anyone is on the line, would you please press your mute so we don't hear any of the background noises? Go ahead, Herb.
Okay. Whereas the governor of the state of New Jersey has further reacted to public health emergency through a series of executive orders, numbers 102 through 148, and whereas the governor of the state of New Jersey has also directed and empowered the superintendent of the state police, director of emergency management, the commissioner of the Department of Health, and the Coronavirus Task Force to supervise and coordinate all activities of all state, regional, and local political bodies and agencies to ensure the implementation of his executive orders numbers 102 through 148. And whereas the county of Sussex has to date been severely impacted by COVID-19 virus, with 195 residents who have lost their lives thus far during the crisis, including 82 residents and 2 staff members of Andover Subacute and Rehabilitation and Andover Subacute and Rehabilitation 2. And a total of 114 of 195 total deaths of Sussex County residents connected to long-term care facilities in the county. And whereas Senator Steve Oraho, R-24, Republican, 24 districts, has called for legislative hearings into the thousands of deaths at New Jersey's long-term care facilities to prevent a repeat of this tragedy should a second wave of COVID-19 occur. And whereas the state legislative leaders have announced the formation of a review and recovery committee to examine how the governor's administration responded to COVID-19, including COVID-19 deaths at the state's long-term care facilities and prisons, the breakdown of the state's unemployment system, the disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on minorities, the implementing fiscal hurdles that the state and local governments will face as a result of this unprecedented crisis. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Sussex County Board of Chosen Freeholders that the County of Sussex strongly supports the Review and Recovery Committee and its efforts to identify issues that were exposed or exacerbated by COVID-19 pandemic, and to make systematic reforms to prevent them from happening again. Therefore, be it resolved that certified copies of this resolution will be forwarded to the Governor of the State of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, to legislators representing Sussex County and the New Jersey Association of Counties, and the clerks of the boards of chosen freeholders in all 21 counties in the state of New Jersey. Certified true copy of the resolution will be adopted by the board on the 22nd day of July, 2020. Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, I already have a motion and a second to adopt said resolutions A to E. Is there any discussion before we vote? Okay, not hearing any. Terry, would you please call the roll?
Freeholder Fantasia,
Yes.
Freeholder Fasano,
Yes.
Freeholder Herzberg,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Patello,
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next is number 14, which are the awards of contract/change orders and bid. The Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Sussex has reviewed the award of contract change orders bids consisting of various proposed resolutions and determined that adoption of the said resolutions is in and will further the public interest. Can I please have a motion to approve resolutions A through I?
Fantasia, so moved.
Second?
Second, Hertzberg.
Is there any discussion? Okay, Terry, a roll call, please.
Freeholder Fantasia,
Yes.
Freeholder Fasano,
Yes.
Freeholder Herzberg,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Patello,
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. For number 15 is financial. A, resolution, payment of bill list for July 8th, 2020. May I please have a motion to approve the bill list?
Fantasia, so moved.
Second?
Herzberg, second.
Is there any discussion? Not hearing any. Cherry, may I have a roll call, please?
Freeholder Fantasia,
Yes.
Freeholder Fasano,
Yes.
Freeholder Herzberg,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Patello,
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley.
Yes.
Okay, number 16 is personnel. We have a resolution authorizing personnel agenda of July 22nd, 2020. May I have a motion to adopt the personnel agenda?
Yardley, yes.
Thank you.
I'll make the
A
motion.
second? Oh, you have a question? Let's move it and then we can have a discussion. Did you make the motion, Herb?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
Fantasia, second.
Okay, is there a discussion? Okay, not hearing anyone. Cherry, a roll call, please.
Freeholder Fantasia,
Yes.
Freeholder Fasano,
Yes.
Freeholder Herzberg,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Patello,
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, number 17 is the administrative report, and I'll turn it over to our business administrator, Greg Puff.
Thank you, Director. I appreciate the board's continued support of the staff, and I'd like to recognize all the good work that's being done by the county employees, particularly within our Division of Health, and all of the staff that's dedicated to the necessary surveillance, investigations, and contact tracing. The staff are doing an exceptional job. It is a very busy time in the county between construction season and all of the inspections that must be done, and we'd just like to recognize the exceptional work being done by the staff during rather unusual times. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there any unfinished business that anyone would like to bring to our attention?
Yes. I do have one issue. We did talk about this last year. Freeholder Herzberg and myself, directly following the voter approval for exceeding a certain amount of our budget. Another issue that we had talked about, and I had talked about specifically, was the establishment of an county ethics board. As a reminder, there's 6 counties right now with ethics boards that are specific to their county, and about 35 municipalities have their own as well. But at the county level, 3 of the counties did not have to craft something and reinvent the wheel. They stuck exactly to what the state ethics board recommends. That's Bergen County, Essex County, and Hudson County. Those 3 counties align directly with the state. And then there's Camden County, Middlesex County, and Passaic County that actually submitted a plan that was approved. It was deemed appropriate by the local finance board. So again, we do have some models if we would like to take a look. I know that August we have 1 meeting. I think it might be a good time for us to take a look at this again, because many of the plans that we had and our timeline fell by the wayside once March hit. This system and planning kind of took on a life of its own. So I just would like to make you aware that I'll be sending some information to Greg and Terry and ask that they distribute as they see fit to have the conversation started now. I mean, I hate to say we're in a lull of COVID, but we are certainly not in the height of the worst of what it was, and I think now might be an appropriate time to take a look at this.
Okay. I would just ask that you send it to our lawyer or attorney as well.
Correct. Will do.
Okay. Okay, is there anyone else that has anything they want to speak about with unfinished business? All right, let's go on to new business. Is there anyone that wants to discuss anything new? Okay. Not hearing anything, then let's go to the public session from the floor. This is the last public session at the end of our meeting. You can speak on anything. It does not have to be on the agenda. Once again, we ask callers who want to make a comment to first state your name and municipality, and the clerk will create a roster and call each in the order received. Comments are limited to 3 minutes or less. May I have a motion to open the floor to the public comment, please?
Fantasia, so moved.
A second?
Yardley, second.
Okay, I don't think, is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, so for the public that are on the conference call, if anyone would like to speak, would you please give us your name and your municipality, and we'll put it into the order of a roster and then call each one of you. So please go ahead. Is there anyone who would like to speak from the public? Right, not hearing anyone. Is there somebody there?
Christy Lavin, Hardiston.
Oh, okay, Christy. Is there anyone else?
Yes, Scott Paul, Andover.
Okay, anyone else? Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, not hearing anyone. Cherry, would you call them in order, please?
Yes, our first is Christy Levin from Hardiston.
Okay, can I begin?
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. First, I would like to join what Freeholder Patello said about Becky Carlson. I join you in your praise of her. I've known her over the years, and what she's done for the CLEAR program and for the community is truly remarkable, and I'm grateful as well.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, in regard to the resolution passed today, I would like to make a suggestion, if I may. You spoke to the systematic reforms to prevent tragedy from occurring again at Andover Subacute. And I can't imagine anyone not wanting the same. My suggestion is just the means, if I understood it correctly. I think a resource in the committee would be the people that are in long-term care facilities themselves that lost loved ones there. And that lends itself towards credibility to keep us grounded in our goals and could provide useful information. And I know that there's a group of family members that are very active that may be interested, and I wanted to know if you would consider this as a resource.
Christy, you want us to contact people and family members?
I'm wondering if you would be open to this committee that you just passed a resolution regarding for long-term facilities and having transparency.
That's not our committee. That's a Senate committee.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I thought you just passed the resolution through the county government.
We passed a resolution to support their creating the recovery committee.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
That's okay. That's okay.
Can I say that idea is excellent, though? And I think that those voices at the table are incredibly important. So, I mean, that's certainly information in our conversations with the state legislators. I think that that's an absolutely excellent and appropriate suggestion.
Thank you.
This is Herb Yardley. If you would write a letter of support for this committee to the governor and to Steve Sweeney, and whatever legislators, other legislators you might want to think of, and people would write, we would get a real good investigation, I think, because I think the legislature needs to hear from people that were impacted. And I think that may have a major impact on moving this forward.
I would be happy to. Thank you. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next caller, I just need a clarification, Scott. Is your last name Hall, Hall?
It's Paul, P-A-U-L.
Oh, P-A-U-L. And is Andover
Yeah.
borough or township?
Township.
Okay, then, Scott. All right, you're free to start. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for the floor. I just wanted to address something real quick before I ask the question. I was curious to hear about how everybody felt about the changing of the name Freeholder due to the prejudice connotations associated with the term. And I noticed it was only really mentioned when expressing your frustrations that the state preferred to speak on that opposed to other issues that you guys found to be important. First, let me just say I think it's amazing that 2 women are leading the Freeholder board for the first time in our county. I think that's something that shouldn't be understated. And I think it's important to address and also phase out all these symbols of injustice. So, I don't know, I just hope everybody can sort of open their minds more to the importance of that, because it seems to only really be mentioned and kind of downplaying that to talk about other things. So that was one thing there. Also, I believe Ms. Fantasia brought up how this isn't something that's it's like an issue now, but that hasn't been something, before. And I guess it is something that has been addressed many times before, but like a lot of issues that happen, unless enough people are voicing it, no change gets done. So, I just wanted to kind of make a comment on that. And the other thing was, it just had to do with the timing of these Freeholder meetings. It is pretty inconvenient for people. I'm sure there's a reason why they're so early, but is it possible at all to be able to move this later so it's more accommodating for more people? I know there's a lot of people who would like to be able to tune in but can't because of conflicting work schedules, and also the possibility of maybe doing something like Zoom. I don't know if you guys have thought about moving in that direction. I feel like that's a little more 2020, but there's probably a reason that it is how it is now. But I just figured I'd offer that suggestion or ask why it is how it is. So that was all.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Scott. Appreciate all those suggestions. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Sylvia, can I just address back
Right ahead.
just 2 things? One, as far as the timing of the meetings, the reason why I was always an advocate of pushing it later myself, and when schedules are a little more, let's say, normal, and everybody is out and about in their regular jobs, I was always one to advocate for, later meetings because we definitely are a commuter county. The reason for the meetings being moved back due to everything that happened with COVID and being able to have individuals available to us, any kind of specialist that we would have, anybody that we needed to have come in and participate in a meeting in response to the crisis. It was important for us to be able to get them earlier than to tell them, you've been in the field doing so-and-so and now we need you at 7:30 at night. It just didn't lend itself, to having any kind of legal representation or having whoever experts we needed at any given time. So, the moving of it, I hear you. I understand exactly what you're saying. I'm not saying it's without validity. I think it has validity, but, that was really the reasoning for it. And then to just for the term freeholder, for me, it was addressed this evening, just simply, addressed in the format that it was, because to me, again, you're absolutely right that individuals have to advocate, and if you're not persistent with something, it doesn't get addressed. Sometimes it falls by the wayside. My question was, I think that there are, things that are impacting individuals even in specific communities of those, who find this term offensive, at a much more severe rate. It doesn't mean that it's a one-trick pony, because people are dying, we don't have to pay attention to another issue. But to me, if time is short down in Trenton to get things done, to me, again, investigating why the elderly are so disproportionately impacted, why minority communities are so disproportionately impacted, is a bit more important than talking about a term. That was my point.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I definitely understand. Yeah, and I appreciate that. All right. I think it's just a. I don't know if this is like whatever the channel for it, but you noted like how minority communities are, have been disproportionately impacted by COVID, which is true and it's unfortunate. But I think you have to keep in mind the systemic issues that created this are socially economic. So I hope, I don't know if there's plans to bring back a testing center for COVID here. I think there is if necessary, but that's something in the future that we should think about, the social economic, like how that is the reason why minority communities were more affected. So I know in Bergen County, they're giving out free home tests for people. Hopefully we could do something like that in Sussex. Because even though we don't have, that big of a minority population, there is like Newton, I know, is like 50% or something like that, 51% under the poverty line. So there are people who are dealing with those same issues who don't have access to, to the testing. So in the future, I hope that
I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear you voice that, because we have been banging that drum about Bergen County. I'm actually a school principal in Bergen County, and I know that my community was beyond hard hit. It was absolutely brutal, and they're offering so many services to their residents, and it's wonderful that they can, and it's wonderful that they were the recipient of millions of dollars to be able to do that. In Sussex County, we have not received any money for anything yet. So what's actually happening is we are using our reserve, our budget, everything that we have for our intake, we are using to pay for every last test, be it, $100 a test, which was the rough rate that was happening at the county when we were open, not counting, paying the staff. And I mean, it's just, the numbers alone made us make that shift to where there's the two testing centers now in the county at the CVS's. So again, I don't disagree with you saying it would be great to be able to offer these things, but unfortunately until Trenton ponies up and offers it to us and realizes, yes, we do have individuals who are negatively impacted. We do have a population that deserves these services. So that's what we're yelling about.
So it's just a matter of having the resources. I got you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me just add something. This is Josh Herzberg. And Greg, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there has been a lot of work done in the background so that if we do need to act again, that there will be mobile testing centers rolled out into the communities to make it a lot easier.
Perfect. Yeah, I know a lot of people are nervous with this, second wave or third wave, whatever is going to come in the fall, if it does come. So that's good to hear.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to comment? Okay, I just want to thank Scott and for Christy for commenting and being a part of our meeting this evening. Now we're at number 22, which is a reminder. Please check the county's website at www.sussex.nj.us for meeting schedules. And we will have an executive.
Excuse me, Director. We just need to close the public comment for a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, can I please have a motion to close the public comment?
Fantasia, so moved.
Okay, thanks. A second?
Herzberg, second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, we're at 23, Terry, the executive session. Did you want to take that?
Sure. Whereas the subject matters about to be discussed may be excluded from the public portion of the meeting by resolution of the Board of Chosen Freeholders as an exception to the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12B, and whereas it appears necessary for the Board of Chosen Freeholders to discuss such matters in executive session, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Sussex, in accordance with the provisions of NJSA 10:4-12B and NJSA 10:4-13, that the Board at this time enter into an executive session from which the public shall be excluded, and be it further resolved that the general nature of the subjects to be discussed relate to the following items authorized by NJSA 10:4-12B as designated. Number 6, matters relating to public safety and property, Newton Green and Andover subacute. Be it further resolved that the deliberations conducted in closed sessions may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Sussex County Board of Chosen Freeholders or provided by law, and that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. And be it further resolved that upon completion of the business for which the board has entered into the executive session, the board will not reconvene and resume its meeting open to the public. The board will not take formal action, and it will adjourn from executive session.
All right, so we need a motion to adopt the executive session resolution and enter into executive session.
Fantasia, so moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Any
Herzberg.
discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, Terry, do we need another motion, or is that it?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Okay. So again, once again, I want to thank everyone who was a part of this meeting tonight, and we are going to close our meeting for this point right now and go into executive session. And for the freeholders, I will hear from you in a few minutes. Okay? Thank you, everyone. Good night.